you guys are the next Linkin Park. Fucking swear, man, you guys are the next Linkin Park. You know, just like, what? Like, why is everybody saying this? And the next night, the guy comes up to us at the merch table and is like, serious as a heart attack, right? Older guy, 40s, something like that. He's like, hey, can I tell y'all something? We're like, yeah. He's like, I'm serious. You guys are about to blow up, and you're going to be the next Linkin Park, so get ready for it.
Thank you again so much for doing this. This is about you, your journey in music, and of course, we'll talk all about the new project.
Awesome, dude. Let's do it.
Sweet. So first off, where were you born and raised in South Carolina?
In North Carolina, actually.
North Carolina.
It's funny because I feel like I'm kind of like, when people ask me, honestly, most of the time, I'm very proud of being from North, specifically Carolina. I'm a Tar Heel, all those things. But really, outside of the sporting thing, the Carolinas are kind of, to most folks who live here, just one big place.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Especially where I grew up. Like, I literally grew up, like, my house right this second is about 6 miles from the state line.
Oh, wow.
And my parents' house is about 6 miles on the other side. So we live.
So your
in
parents
states.
are still in North Carolina. Yeah. But you're just a few minutes away from each other.
20 minutes away. Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
I live closer to Greenville, South Carolina. They live just up into North Carolina, kind of in the foothills of the mountains.
Okay.
So, but yeah, dude, I grew up here in the Carolinas, as they like to say. Yeah.
Sure. Well, is that do your parents still live in the same house that you grew up in?
Sure do.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, pretty crazy, dude. Yeah.
That's really
same
cool.
House. I was the same house I came home to from the hospital when I was a kid. You know what I mean?
Wow.
So,
that's amazing.
Yeah,
not a lot of people
awesome.
have that. I mean, my parents still live in the same house. Well, we lived a couple places prior, but like since I was 2.5, they still own the same house. So they've had it for 30, over 31, 32. Wow, shit, more than that. God, how old I am, man. 35 years.
Yeah, I know, dude. That's
so, yeah. But wow, okay, cool, man. That's awesome. So what was it like growing up there? I mean, were you able to come back and forth in South Carolina? Like, did you have friends in South Carolina and everything?
Oh, yeah, man. I mean, we, pretty much everything we did, even as a family, because we lived the closest like town that had like, your stores and restaurants was in South Carolina. And it was like, like I said, it's where I live now. So 15, 20 minutes from my parents. So we just always, a lot of my friends were here. And that's the reason when we moved back, my wife and I, we settled on this side of the line, South Carolina, is just because even when I started playing in bands, most of them, at the very beginning, all of them were from down in this area. So all of my friends that I've had over the years and kept in contact with are all mostly from South Carolina, like this, what they call the upstate, which is like Greenville, South Carolina, Spartanburg.
Okay.
And that's the part of the Carolinas. That's what I'm saying. Like, basically, there's South Carolina's broken up into like 3 different sections, and so is North Carolina. So basically what you have is I grew up in a place which is called the Western Piedmont of North Carolina, which is the mountains right there before you get to Asheville, get to Tennessee. And then the upstate South Carolina is what it borders. And that's kind of all, we're the folks that kind of refer to ourselves as the Carolinas. There's a lot more state pride that goes on the further you get up into like Raleigh, Durham, Chapel Hill, like away from South Carolina. That's when they start getting a little more prideful about it just being north or south. But like, it's funny
because you are so close. I mean, you're kind of in the middle of, I guess, north South Carolina, but South North Carolina. Like, you're kind of in the middle there. So you're basically middle of the.
I'm both,
if it was one state, you'd be in the middle of
I'm both, man. Honestly, I'm both. I have an immense love for both states. They're just, there's been a lot of times in my life that I talked with folks that are from down here, and we are all just like, it would be a lot easier if they would just call it Carolina and get rid of the North and South thing, and that way we could be a big old state like Texas. And
I was gonna say, I mean, are laws that much different from North and South Carolina? It's interesting that it's split up.
No, the only thing right now that the Carolinas can't agree on is the weed thing. Like, they can't. North Carolina is really lax on it. They're getting ready to legalize it recreationally, probably, or medically. I would say probably recreationally too within the next couple of years there, 2 or 3. I definitely think North Carolina, funny enough, will be one of the first like true southern states to like go. It's like, Virginia technically is first. medically legal or recreationally legal.
Recreational legal.
Anyway,
Yeah.
we don't need to get on a weed tangent. That's literally right now. That's the hot button topic in between the two states. Is South Carolina's like, no way, no how. We ain't doing it yet. We're sticking to our guns. And North Carolina's like, yeah, but look how much money everybody else is making on.
Right. I know. So, except for if you're California, you're still billions in debt somehow.
South Carolina can be a bit more stubborn. Like in there, I will say that it's not
traditional ways.
It's not as progressive. It's not as progressive. North Carolina is a very progressive place because of you got Chapel Hill, which is where the university's at of North Carolina. That's a really progressive school, very liberal school, believe it or not. And then Asheville, North Carolina, which is over here, the hippie mountains where I'm at. I mean, we're literally referred to as the Seattle of the South. Like we have a booming LGBTQ community. We have it's been that way for years and years and years. People just didn't know about it. Like,
interesting. Yeah, it's never
like the most. Oh, dude, it's the most gay-friendly place probably in our country, and I'm not joking. And people think Southerners are so like churchy and down on all that stuff. And it's like, bro, we've been loving each other for years, and you guys didn't know it. What are you talking about, dude?
Right.
Don't listen to all that horse shit rhetoric, dude. We love everybody here, dude.
Oh, that's awesome. So what about music?
Man, it was great.
Sorry. So go ahead.
No,
Sorry.
It was great. No, it was great. You're just, about growing up here. I know I went on a tangent, but
no. I love it.
I couldn't have asked for a better childhood, man. Honestly, I'm not one of those dudes that had like a weird, rough childhood. We had a lot of tragic things happen in my childhood. My cousin was shot and killed when I was 15. He was 13, and
oh my gosh,
a bunch of stuff like that. My nephew died of a drug overdose a couple years ago. Like the whole fentanyl craze.
Oh, that's so sad.
Yeah, dude, it sucks. So, I'm not void of having shitty things happen in my life, but I've got a couple parents that are awesome and supportive and always have been. And yeah, man, I can't complain at all, dude. I'm not a tortured artist by any means. I'm pretty lucky, dude. Yeah.
Do you come from a musical household at all, or are you the only musician?
100%. 100%.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I grew up being in the South here. I grew up in church, obviously. And my parents were the music ministers at the church I went to.
Wow.
But then they also had I don't even know if you've ever heard this term, musically speaking, but you ever heard of Southern gospel music?
Yes, actually, I have.
Like quartet music of Southern gospel.
Yeah.
So my parents were a Southern gospel group from the time I can remember being born, obviously, up until I was probably, I'm going to say I was probably 15 when they stopped, because my sister would travel with us. And once she graduated high school, she was like kind of ready to do her thing and quit, singing at churches every weekend, all weekend long. So once I got to high school, that kind of stopped.
Were you a singer as well in that, or no?
I played drums.
Okay, so you've always been a drummer.
Always. My dad was a drummer before me. Then there wasn't like a passing of the torch in the way of like him teaching me anything. My dad will tell you right now, he and I have never sat down at a drum kit, and he's never showed me a single thing. We've never talked about playing drums together. Like, when we talk about drums, it was never like he knew from the get-go, like I had kind of a natural inclination for it. I actually ended up, the person who taught me the most about drumming wasn't even a drummer. It was my uncle. Well, I called him Uncle Danny, but he was my dad's cousin. He was my dad's age. And he was our bass player. And he had been a musician that had played in Nashville for a little while when he was younger and toured around the Southeast. And he was just, to this day, dude, like next to Trey Daniels is the best bass player I've ever played with.
Really?
And he taught me everything about drumming. He taught me, because he had went and toured with all these great drummers, and he taught me everything from how to tune my drums to how to play, how to be dynamic, how to get out of the way of the singer, how to know that like people don't come to see a drummer, they come to see the songs. So like you need to play to better serve the song and not yourself. And so he taught me that at 11, 12 years old.
Wow.
And I think that's why now, if if we were to get into my discography or my the bands I've either played on their records or played on stage with live, filled in for, been in, or whatever. It literally ranges from Southern gospel, and I was in a black gospel choir for a year when I was 16.
Oh, wow.
The only white kid in a church on a weekend, literally. I remember, funny story, side story. I remember being at a church, and the church was set up really awkward. So when you walked in, the band was actually like in this weird room off to the side of the stage. And unless you were like up at the very front of the church, you couldn't see into that room. So when you walked in, saw the choir up on stage, you heard the music, you didn't know who was playing. You didn't know if there's 10 dudes in there playing or 5. And I remember we were doing we would go to churches and do these choir workshops because the guy I played for was like he had like one of the biggest choirs around here, and churches would bring him in to kind of show him how to do the whole choir thing, you know. And I remember we were at this church, and we had done like a whole day of teaching on all that. And so that evening we had like the concert, and church fills up. We're off in this room and we're playing. And he introduces the band, and he makes us step out from the room just to show people, hey, this is who's been playing drums, you know, say thank you, say welcome, or say hi or whatever. And he gets to my part, and he just introduces me, and I step out from the room, dude. And they see that it's this chubby white kid that's been playing drums this whole time. And bro, that church lit up like it was like I mean, if you know much about church, you said like the Holy Ghost was like, you would have thought like the Holy Ghost was moving, people shouting and clapping and praising God. It was just like, that was literally probably one of the more, man, that was a really impactful point of my life, just period. Like being accepted in this way that like, I can't really explain to anybody. Like,
wow,
yeah,
that's really amazing to be able, to have them have no clue who's back there, and then you kind of come out and you're totally accepted into this as like
100%.
So amazing.
Like,
yeah,
but and not even just accepted, man. It wasn't even like they kind of clapped and was like, oh, good job, buddy. It was like, I don't know, man. It was I even think about it now. I haven't thought about it in so many years until I told that story. Like, it gives me chill bumps because it was like I don't know, man, not to be too deep, but I feel like it was almost like this thing of like everybody in that church, including myself, realized that we had been worshiping together completely void of knowing anything other than the only thing we knew we had in common, because we couldn't see each other, was our love for Jesus. And so that was all that was driving us, was just praising God, man. And then I think once they saw how different we were, it was like, I don't know, man. I think it's just a powerful moment for everybody in that little old church down here in South Carolina, man. I think it was just
amazing.
It had never happened. They had never seen anything like that. Some little white boy coming in there playing drums like that, you know. So, yeah, dude, it was awesome. But I would like to think my Uncle Danny, you know, like I was telling you, he definitely like taught me, I mean, pretty much everything, him and my dad. Like, my dad taught me a lot of the nuances of just actual like tuning drums and little things like that, but never, still to this day, me and my dad don't talk about that part of drumming. It's the weirdest thing ever.
Yeah, that is.
Yeah. It's so
did you see him drumming as a kid, like growing up, or no, or mainly just singing? Oh wow, okay.
Yeah. I would see him drum I remember him drumming, you know, me still sitting waiting for my turn. I guess just watching him all those years, like and a lot of times we'd go to a church and play, and he'd be playing, and I'd be sitting right behind him. So like I wasn't sitting out in the crowd because there was nobody there but my mom and dad and my sister and my Uncle Danny, and they're on stage, so they're not leaving me out front. So I would literally be behind the drum set with my dad, just sitting on the floor watching him play. And so I think that's how I learned. Like, not and he wasn't looking back at me going, did you see that? Did you see what I did? It was
you're just absorbing it.
I see it, just absorbing it, and him just doing his thing.
Wow. So you did that for, I mean, it sounds like you started drumming early and then did that through church. And then eventually, like, how do you go from playing in these gospel choirs to maybe joining a band? Or, I mean, especially the music you're playing now, which is completely different.
Dude, it would take me an hour and a half to get to how I ended up exactly here. But the Cliff Notes is, I graduated high school, and I was actually supposed to go to college and play baseball. I was pretty darn good at baseball growing up. And
so, what position do you play?
First base DH.
Are you lefty?
I pitched up through high school, but that was not going to be something I was going to do in college. Like,
I
pitched good for small town pitcher, but like I hit.
Are you left-handed?
Like I'm right-handed, actually. Most first basemen are left-handed. I'm right-handed, but I had power. But man, like, I mean, I remember I didn't get to play at all my freshman year. I sat behind a guy, and then so my sophomore year, he gets hurt like the first game of the year. And So they're like, Yogi, go. That year, my sophomore year, I ended up leading the conference in hitting. And from then on out, like I led it 3 years in a row and like got like conference offensive player of the year my junior, senior year.
Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah, all kinds of, stuff like that. So I was going to college, East Carolina University. I was going to be a Pirate. And dude, I don't know what happened between baseball finishing my senior year of high school and then, the 2 or 3 months between then and needing to leave for school. But I don't know, dude. I completely lost my desire to play baseball 100%.
Mm-hmm.
And just like, I don't know if it was I know now what it was. It was the Lord going, hey, dude, this is not your call. It's like this, I got something else for you. I literally stayed at the community college, met my friend Matt. My friend Matt, in our second semester, he was in a local band that had, actually a regional band that got to open up for a lot of bands when they would come through town.
Mm-hmm.
There was a band from Atlanta. They were called Rocket Boy. They were on a label. They were signed. It was like Smashing Pumpkins, Bushish kind of stuff.
Okay.
And their drummer had just quit. And he was like, hey, my friend that I go to college with is like a sick drummer. You guys should have him come to Atlanta and try out. And they're like, yeah, we're going to try out some guys. Just give him our number and have him come down. Right? I didn't know I was even going to be in a band, dude. I didn't know what I was doing. That wasn't why I didn't go to school. I didn't know what I was doing.
Right.
I thought I might be a youth pastor or something, just to be real honest with you. That's kind of the thought in my head at the time.
Uh-huh.
I drive to Atlanta during spring break and I get the gig and I never looked back, man. It was packed up, moved to Atlanta immediately, and then to Nashville, and then that band broke up, joined another band called Holland. We got signed by Tooth and Nail Records, went to Seattle to record our record, met all of the guys in Demon Hunter. They hadn't put out a record yet, but they were about to put out their first self-titled record. And just got to be really good friends with them, hung out with them for like 6 weeks in Seattle. And so like a year and a half later, their drummer decides he's not going to go on their second tour. He's moving to New York, takes the drum kit they bought him and just disappears, kind of thing. And they were like, they had a short list of guys from other metal bands that were on Solid State or in the scene that they knew would probably come do it. But they were like, man, we really like hanging out with that Yogi dude from Holland. Like, if he could play metal, that would be dope. If he would come out and do this tour with us. It was just about coming out and doing a tour for Summer of Darkness record. So they called. They're like, you play double kick? I said, nope. I said, do you think you like can learn between now and tour, which is like a month? I said, of course. Like, y'all stuff doesn't have a ton of that in it. I think I can do it. They were like, well, if you think you can, we think you can. Like, we trust you. And I was like, cool. Booked my plane ticket that day. Showed up in Seattle 2 weeks later, rehearsed for a week, went on tour, and we've never had a discussion since then about whether I was going to join the band or in the band or not. It was just like, Ryan hasn't stopped. He hasn't stopped calling me. And we're 18 years down the road and have a new record that just came out. And
yeah, I was going to say, you're busy, man. You're playing in that band full time. You just put out an album. And then, of course, with World Gone Cold, you put an album out.
Yep. That came out Friday. Our debut EP came out Friday. And that's just, man, even that, like, our guitar player in World Gone Cold is a guy named Mark Anthony. Mm-hmm. He was in a band called The Letter Black with his wife, Sarah. And, they were in Revolver a lot. They toured with Pretty Reckless and Skillet and Five Finger and Breaking Benjamin. And they did all that for, a few years. And, their time kind of ended as far as like really kind of climbing, trying to still climb. They kind of just got to a place where they're like, okay, this is it. This is what we're going to be. Like, this is kind of who we are. And we have our fans. And so we'll just kind of put out music and let them be into it. But we're not going to tour full time. And they started having kids. And he had been writing a bunch of stuff that he thought kind of fit a male vocal more. So he kind of just put this whole thing together. He made his all-star wish list of dudes he wanted in the band. And every single person that was at the top of his list said yes right off.
Wow.
So oddly, because I think we all saw each other's names, like, hey, I've asked this group of dudes. And we were all like, well, if it is this group of dudes, then I'm in for sure. Like, all he had to say to me was Trey Daniels, and I was in, man. Like, it was, P.O.D's been my favorite band since 1996. I saw him at Cornerstone in 96 when I was in a band called Rocket Boy. They had one EP out called Snuff the Punk. They're on a label called Rescue Records. And I saw Sonny propose to his wife, or his now wife of 27 years. We all took communion together, and it changed my life and made me want to do this. It was the moment where I knew, like, okay, I'm going to do this forever. And then 5 years later, when they're on TRL every day, it gives this Christian kid who's still chugging away this sense of pride and a sense of determination that, like, hey, I saw these dudes 5 years ago in a tent and nobody knew who they were, and now they're on TRL every day. That could be me one day.
Right.
So I'm going to never stop doing this. Won't stop, can't stop, as Sonny would say. I'm not going to. And I don't know if you knew this or not, but I played drums for P.O.D. Saturday night.
Did you really?
Yes, I did. Down in Florida at a festival.
What happened to Wov? Is he still playing with them or not really?
So what?
Is Wov not playing with them, or is he?
Nope, he's no longer in the band.
Okay.
Yep, he's been gone now for a little over a year.
That's what I thought. He wasn't on the newest record, I don't think, right?
No,
yeah.
And he's not on this new one either. They have one coming out. It'll probably be out in the fall. I got to hear it this weekend. It's sick.
That's so rad that you got to play with them. Yeah. What a full circle.
Dude, I'm telling you, man, like, man, I don't even know. We haven't even talked. I don't want to talk about religion because it's such a weird subject, but I will just tell you that, like, obviously you can tell that I'm a Christian. I love Jesus. I'm a wild guy, whatever. I'm crazy. There's a lot of stances I take on stuff, and people can find that out if they want, but I'm not your typical Christian, I wouldn't say, but yeah, dude. So for me, I mean, 96, dude, like that was, I bought a hat that day. They weren't even called P.O.D. yet. They were just going by. They weren't doing the acronym thing at all. They were just going by payable on death.
Yeah.
And they had that little Trinity symbol.
Yeah.
And so I bought a hat. It's a brown hat, the Padres colors. It's brown with a gold Trinity symbol and just says payable on death on it, right? And I've moved probably 17 times over the past 27 years. My wife and I lost everything we owned in a house fire back in 2 days before my daughter was born.
Oh my gosh, man.
Yeah. I still have that P.O.D. hat.
Really?
I don't know how. I really don't know how, dude. It's the only possession I have that's older than 10 years old. And I'm not joking. I have nothing left. I don't have any. I lost all of my Demon Hunter keepsakes. I lost all of my Holland stuff, all of our posters, all of our CDs that I had collected over the years of all the bands I had been in, all the CDs I had played on of the bands that I had played for. I lost all that stuff in that house fire. Nothing left. And somehow that P.O.D. hat was in a freaking storage container in my storage space, which only had 2 storage containers in it. That's it. It had 2 storage bins full of like just stuff, and then all of my drum stuff. That's all. That's the only thing.
Wow.
Yeah. And that was the one hat, the only hat in either one of those bins too, which is weird. And I don't even remember putting it in there. So it was pretty freaky and strange even at the time. And now that all of this has happened, it's like, bro, look, I don't care if you believe in God or not, but you couldn't literally, there ain't nothing. You put a damn AK-47 to my head and tell me, like, you either don't believe or bye-bye, buddy. And I'm going to be like, see y'all later, homie, because I'm telling you, I've seen it. I've experienced it, bro. And that's not even just one time. It's multiple times of things that there is zero explanation for it other than like a divine appearance or whatever you want to call it.
I know. I totally agree with you. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean,
oh my gosh, it's so cool to hear you talk about P.O.D. like that, and just not that this is a podcast about P.O.D. But I grew up in San Diego, and so I remember seeing them. Like, I used to skateboard as a kid, and there was a church called Maranatha Church, and it was right by the high school I went to, and they would play there almost every Friday. They used to do these little skate demos where basically the church had a bunch of ramps, and they would set them out for the kids to skate, and they'd have bands play. And I remember seeing P.O.D. when they put Brown out. Like, Brown was out. And like my friend bought it and he had it on a CD, and they like printed like it was like on those old cases that was like different color. Like you could get like a green case. But it was, the thin
jewel
one.
Case could be like
yeah. It was like burned onto a CD, and he had like the printed out cover. It was wild.
Oh yeah,
and like
dude.
seeing them play there, and it was like, and then when they put, because then they put out a full length. It wasn't until like a few years later when they were like on TRL, and it was like such a big deal. It was wild because it was like Blink 182 was from our town in Poway, and they're from Chula Vista, and they were like both like
blowing up.
Some of the biggest bands in the in the world at that point. And it was like, what is happening here? This is crazy.
Dude, it was wild, man. Like we played, so I played with them at this festival Saturday, and it was kind of I mean, we knew we were going to play. The crowd didn't know they were playing. So basically, like cool. It was the World Gone Cold debut show. We did a festival down in Florida called Throw Down to the Campground. It's like a first year for it, but it's like a destination kind of a thing. It's the guy who booked Shiprocked. And he
cool.
Iron Maiden Cruise.
Yeah.
So he did this thing. He wants
great festival.
Yeah. Oh, it's awesome. And he wanted it to be like a destination thing, and like so it wasn't even like a festival where you have your band area, everybody's backstage, buses, bull crowd, and you got fans out there and they're sweating and buying $50 drinks. This was literally like you just went to the campground. The band's, our camper was in the middle of everybody else's campers. You just went, and like when it was your turn to play, you went to the stage to play. But when you weren't playing, you were literally just hanging out with everybody. Like you didn't know who was in a band. You didn't know who was a fan. It was just, we're all hanging out and having fun. And so we, bands all day, Tantric and Smile Empty Soul and all these like radio bands, and this guy loves all of us and has been fans of all of our bands for years, apparently. So he gave us the direct support slot right before Drowning Pool World Gone Cold for our first show ever. And dude, we crushed, man. The crowd, like, it was the biggest crowd of the day. I mean, our crowd was bigger than Drowning Pool's, which is crazy. I couldn't believe it, but it was just like nuts, man. So we got done and it started raining. So they like had like a little bit of a 30-minute break, right? So the fans kind of come back out and they're expecting like a little bit of an all-star jam before Drowning Pool goes up. So it ends up being me. You ever remember a band called Unloco, UNLOCO from Texas, like metal band? They were on Ozfest and stuff.
Oh, I don't remember them. No.
Their singer, who was also in Drowning Pool for a while, so it was like him and me and CJ from Drowning Pool, a couple other guys, and we played Walk by Pantera.
Oh, hell yeah.
So the fans are up, we sang happy birthday to the promoter, and the fans are all like, cool, this is awesome, woo, woo, woo. Well, then all of a sudden, Trey, Sonny, and Marcos are like on the stage singing happy birthday, and like, I don't know if anybody noticed that all three of them were up there,
Right.
Everybody walks off the stage except for the four of us. And everybody's like, and we just look at each other, and Marcos kicks into Boom. And
wow.
Yeah, dude, we literally slammed out 5 songs. We did Boom, Youth of a Nation, Alive, Southtown, and Rock the Party. And
that's like
dude,
like the encore set and just out.
It was ape poop, dude. It was people crowd surfing, just losing their minds because they didn't know it was happening, dude. They got like bands all weekend, and then all of a sudden P.O.D is on stage playing what we all know are the largest anthems from our teenage years, childhood.
Man, yeah.
So it was awesome, dude.
Dude, that's so rad. Awesome. So when so with World Gone Cold, was the music was already done? Like how do you get into the band?
So Mark had written the songs, demoed them out like anybody, any guy that would demo songs out. He sent them to Ryland, our vocalist. Ryland did his thing on them, and that's when they realized, like, oh crap, like this is good.
Yeah.
And they literally at that point sent it to me and Trey, and I went to, my friend has a little garage studio here, half hour from my house that he's had for like 20 something years. And he knows that room like the back of his hand. He's really good. He doesn't do big records. He just does local stuff. But we didn't have any money. We weren't being fronted by a label or anything like that. So I just called him up and was like, hey, I'm gonna come up there and track some drums. And he was like, yep, let's do it. I went up there, tracked all the drums for the EP in like a half a day, and sent it back to Mark. And Mark was like, holy shit, dude, like this is
it's awesome.
And Trey did the same thing and did his parts and sent it back. And then when I heard Trey actually done his first, and then I did mine next. And we were just like, oh my God, dudes, this is okay, so where do we go from here? Kind of
Right.
We all met up in Knoxville for the first time. First time I'd ever laid eyes in person and shook Mark Anthony's hand in my entire life. We're already in a band together. We've already recorded an EP and we hadn't even met in person yet.
Oh my God. Oh, over all the years of touring and playing, you had never met?
Not he and I. I knew Trey. I knew Andrew. I knew Ryland. Inhale Exhale. Ryland's old band had toured with Demon Hunter. We took them on tour like twice.
They were also a Solid State band, weren't they?
Yep.
Or no? Yeah, that's what I thought.
I actually met Trey that year in 96, and then I promoted shows for a minute, like around 97, 98, brought P.O.D down here to a little old place in North Carolina, packed it out, and became friends with them then. So Trey and I have always known each other. And then with Demon Hunter and P.O.D, like both being kind of, I mean, P.O.D's massive, Demon Hunter's not at all, but in our little world.
Yeah, but you guys have had some, I mean, even Demon Hunter had
our
success.
world would be very successful, very, very successful. You know what I mean? So because of that, there's always been a mutual respect between us and them. We've always, you know, we'll pop up at festivals together occasionally. And I mean, it's just always been a real, we like to call it like a mutual admiration society. You know what I mean? Like just, we're all peers. We've all had our success in some way, shape, or form. We're all still around. There's not a lot of us that are still here that started back then. I mean, P.O.D was before us, obviously. They're working on 30 years, but I mean, we're at 22.
I was going to say, like, you guys have been around for a while too.
I mean, we've had, as far as albums go, this was the 20th, this past year, 2022 was the 20th anniversary of the first record. So, yeah, I mean, we're 22 years now as a band, almost 23, like, you know, from the time it actually started. And I'm almost at year 20 myself. I'll be at next year will be my 20th anniversary in April. So,
oh my God,
I'm at 19 years this April. Here in about 2 weeks. Yeah. So, and then we'll be on tour. We'll be on tour in April too. So, hey, we're doing Nashville. Did you see that?
I didn't. Did you guys release the tour dates?
I'll put you. Yep, we've released them. They're up there. We're playing at Brooklyn Bowl on April 29th. Yeah, dude. We've already sold like 650. The Friday, the ticket count was 653 already.
Oh wow.
I can't believe that for us, dude. This will be our biggest Nashville show for sure, as far as headlining show. Like, we've never drawn more than 500 in Nashville. Well, I shouldn't say that. That's not true, actually.
Okay, this is for Demon Hunter, though, right?
I forgot about the Triptych, Storm the Gates days at Rocket Town. There was a couple years there. Those two tours, we sold out Rocket Town, both of those. I think that was like 1,300. So we did. But that was also freaking 2007. We're talking about 16 years ago. Like, we've toured a lot since then and played Nashville a lot to 300 people, 350 people. You know, I remember one time we played at the Exit Inn. It was a random show we ended up doing. We were on tour with them Flames, had a day off, kind of booked a show last minute, and there was like barely 200 people there. You know, we're like, what's happening to us? Like, oh. And so now, and that was even 10 years ago. So to think 10 years later, 20 years into the band, we can come back to Nashville after releasing a new record and have like our best pre-sale ever is just like mind-boggling. That doesn't make sense.
So awesome. I love Brooklyn Bowl too. That's good. That's such a great venue.
Oh, dude, that place is going to be. I mean, dude, if it's at 650 right now, it won't surprise me if it sells out by the time.
Yeah, it'll probably just sell out.
Because I think Brooklyn Bowl's like, if I look when he sends the numbers, it has the
cap or whatever.
Yeah, the ticket place will put like the capacity that it's sold so far.
Yeah.
And so I think it said that we were 62.3% sold or something like that. You know.
Yeah, I would say I don't know what I would think a sellout's got to be like 900 maybe.
That's what I was thinking. 1,000. I'm thinking 1,000. Like because of the balcony. I think. It's 1,000. Sure. If the balcony wasn't there, it wouldn't be.
No,
it'd be 800 max.
Yeah, I was gonna say, probably 750. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
I've only been in that place once. And that was for a sound check because some buddies of mine were playing there and we were in town. And I literally went over there at like 3:30 during the day just to see the place and say hey to them. But I haven't played there. I've not been to a show there. It's because I don't live in Nashville anymore. And
right.
I mean,
it's right there on the Sound Stadium, man. It's right. It backs the back of the baseball field.
Dude, that's sick, dude. I love that area. I love what they've done to Germantown right there, man. That place was such a dump when I moved there in 2000.
Oh, is that right?
Oh my God, dude. It was the worst. I mean, it was bad, dude. They would tell you straight up. Like they would literally say, hey, if you're a white dude, do not go there after dark. Just don't do it. I'm not joking.
Wow.
Like it was a thing. Like, don't do it. Like, just don't go.
Yeah, they've definitely cleaned it up. I mean, they put the sound stadium there. They've got like
oh yeah, dude.
some
That whole
restaurants
area
and
is so
everything
nice
down there now. Yeah, it's real nice now.
My son is trying to eat a rock. So this is my
Oh.
son, Waylon. Say hi to Mr. Adam.
Hi,
Hey.
Waylon.
So I've
My
been
son's
gone
at
all
school.
weekend.
He's
We had
like,
the shows. Yeah. So we had the shows this weekend, and I told my wife I had this thing with you, but she was like, I've been with him by myself for 4 days. You get him today. So she's like,
good.
You can do the interview with him. And I was like,
Yeah,
I
no,
can.
totally can. No, I love that. That's cool, man. Well, you know, I appreciate this conversation, man. This has been so much fun. I thank you so much, Yogi, for doing this.
Yeah, brother. I'm sorry we didn't talk more about the World Gone Cold thing. Can I say a couple things about it?
No.
Quick,
I didn't want to interrupt your time with your son. So if you got time,
yeah.
I got
No.
time.
I do want to say a couple things about the band, though, man.
No,
Like,
I'd love to hear. Yeah, no, please.
And this, this can be the wrap up for sure, but
I just didn't want to bother
really
you on your time with your son if he's running around.
No, I know, dude. It's okay, buddy. I want to make sure you get what you need from me, man, because I feel so bad about missing the last one. And every time, dude, come on, man. Let's be honest. The fact that any human being cares enough about what I'm doing to like take time out of their day to want to like Zoom me and ask me questions, that's a big deal to me, man. I don't care how small the podcast is, big the podcast is. I don't care. Like the fact that if that one human being is interested enough in me to like want to carve out part of their day when time is so precious just to find out more about me, that's a big deal. That's still a big deal to me at 45. I don't care how long I've done it, how many times I've done it. It's a big deal to me. So I appreciate you.
No, I appreciate your time. This is so awesome. Just, yeah, I love that you have had like these ties with so many bands for so long. I mean, I've had Marcos on this podcast too, which is cool to hear. Yeah. And you're playing with Trey, and obviously everything that you've done is so impressive. And I love the band, man. I love the record. I've listened to it a few times through thus far. I think one of my favorite songs on it is the very last one, Reality.
Yep.
Where it's like, it's so different from the intro is like, the rest, it's so much different than the rest of the EP. It is.
And that song, we debated for a minute whether we were going to put it on there, right? We're like, this might be too different. And a friend of ours who I haven't even mentioned, I got to give him his flowers real quick. Another guy who's kind of orchestrated the World Gone Cold with Mark, as far as like helping Mark come up with who he thought would be best for everything, was a man named Travis Wyrant. Travis has produced everything from P.O.D. to Pillar to Disciple to 10 Years to, you name it, he's produced it. He lives in Knoxville.
Wow. Okay.
He is the guy whose house we all went to the first time we all met to play together in person. We went to his house at his studio. So he knew about this and orchestrated this and kind of was mentoring this from the get-go. So I don't want to leave him out because he gets left out of a lot of our interviews right now because we're so excited about everything that's going on. We forget to talk about Travis that, basically helped us get this whole thing going. But yeah, dude. So just wild, man, how it came together and how he said, so we weren't going to put it on, right? That's kind of where me and Mark Anthony were kind of at that place. Reality's not going to go. And then Travis was like, that would be the worst mistake you guys could make not to put that on there. He was like, that song showcases something different about you guys that I really think is going to reach a person who might not necessarily love the rest of the EP, but that goes, I like the rest of the EP, but this song makes me want to see what these guys are going to do next. So we put it on there. And dude, I'm not joking. There are a very large contingent of folks that have said exactly what you said. Like, man, Reality, I love Opposites Attract. I love this, but Reality's just different, man. We're like,
I think it's such a great song. I mean, like I said, I was listening to the EP and I'm like, this is awesome. And then the beginning of this comes on. I'm like, did it for a half a second, I'm like, did it Spotify take me to some related artist? Yeah. And I'm like, no, this is it. And then I was just blown away how good it is, and it just sounds different. And I really, I'm glad you guys put it on the record. I think it's such an amazing song.
Yep. And there's definitely more of that. Like we even this weekend, we did a song that we've written since the EP even, or since, we recorded the EP. It's called Mannequin. And it's got that vibe to it too. A little more like that. It's kind of in between. Mannequin, the new song Mannequin, is kind of in between reality and, let's say, like an Opposites Attract. It's not as in your face as Opposites Attract, not quite as laid back as reality. It kind of fits somewhere in the middle, like a really nice bridge between the two. And that's the thing, man. Like all those songs you're hearing on that EP are literally the first group of songs we ever wrote together.
I know that's just so what that's so
we have
19
impressive. We have 19 more already. Like,
oh wow,
that are done, like flushed out, done, demoed, ready to like track for a record if we wanted. Our goal is to have about 40 before we track the new record. Narrow it down to like 12 or 10, whatever. But we also don't even really know what that's going to be like the next record. Like, we're not even sure if it's going to be a full length. We don't know if it'll be another EP. We don't know if we want to release a few singles. We are in a spot right now that is so freeing and awesome, dude, because we did the EP with Rockfest Records, but that's it. Joseph wanted to be a part of it. He put out the EP. We don't have any kind of like contractual, any kind of obligations binding us to Rockfest after this or nothing. Like, it's just it was a licensing deal essentially for this record. So, I mean, dude, it's, we may end up back on Rockfest. Who knows? They're doing a great job with radio right now, and we're charting on the secondary market. We started in the high 40s, and last week we were down to 32.
Wow.
Should get those numbers again today. And it should go up. And that's something none of us have ever done, which is charted on the mainstream market. This is the secondary chart, SHR, but I mean, it's still, it just
right. I mean, I know it's huge. It's so big.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I come from radio. I was on the radio for nearly 17 years before I started doing the podcast full time. And so it's cool to see that, because there's this, the secondary markets, and you see them kind of grow, and then it's like once one major market picks it, it's like,
and it will.
Everyone will collapse in and be like, hey, what? Oh, who's this? What's this band that you guys are playing?
Yep. And
but it always takes some big markets a minute, because they don't want. I don't know what it is. A lot of people don't want to take chances anymore, unfortunately.
They don't. And it's crazy, man. I think it's so there's a fine line between being confident, being assured of yourself, maybe being overconfident, maybe being a little bit delusional, whatever, right?
Right.
This comment may sound crazy. I truly believe all it's going to take is for that one station in Atlanta or LA or Dallas or Seattle or Chicago or New York, one of those, right? One of those big top 10 markets.
Yep.
I really think it's only going to take one of those stations to pick it up, K-Rock, one of those types of places. Based on what we've heard from folks, everybody from kids who are 12 years old in the front row of the show, Sunday night, singing every single word to an EP that's been out for 2 days, don't understand that. Still, those girls knew every single word. That's to so the awesome. 60-year-old guy who's a Demon Hunter fan, had an Exile t-shirt on, and he's singing the words of The World Gone Cold stuff.
Wow.
12-year-olds, 60-year-old. His wife, 58, 59 years old, Miss Cindy, standing side stage taking pictures, singing every word.
Wow.
People in their 20s and 30s singing. Women, men, black, white. It was insane Sunday night, man. Like at our first headlining show, because it was like people were screaming when we walked on stage, and we're like, "It's our first show. Like, what is this? This doesn't make sense." We even had a moment, which I get them in DH shows, but dude, we even had one of those moments. We did Opposites Attract,
mm-hmm.
And in between the chorus and the bridge, it has that breakdown part, and the whole crowd started clapping and screaming because they had loved the first part of the song so much and just were happy we were doing it. Dude, we're blown away. We're blown away by
so cool.
We're blown away by people's. We got done playing, and the Drowning Pool guys were like, "Yeah, thanks a lot." Like,
how are we going to follow that?
what are we going to do? Go out there and play Bodies Hit the Floor, and like everybody's going to be excited about it? Like, this is like, F you guys. This sucks. Like, I got told by, dude, I'm talking about bands I've listened to on the radio. Dudes from Smile Empty Soul, the drummer. All the dudes in Tantric. like all telling us, dude, absolutely best band all day. No, like you guys,
so
like
awesome.
just the best, the tightest. You sounded the best, like the best mix. Your tracks were the best. Like everything about you guys was better than everybody else.
Wow.
And we're just like, really? I've never had people say that to me. I've never had people say that to us when I'm in DH even. So, yeah, I guess to wrap it all up, man, there's something going on, and we feel it and we sense it. And Trey made a massive statement yesterday. We're on our way home in my little minivan. We're all, you know, there's like 3 of us in there. We're chatting. And Trey just goes, dudes, I'll tell y'all something. I'm like, yeah, dude. He's like, I'm not trying to like be weird. He's like, but this feels eerily similar to the P.O.D situation right before we like blew up. He's like, the same kinds of things are happening. The same kinds of people are getting involved. Like, there's a lot of people, a lot of things. We just got new management a couple weeks ago that's like really huge for us, like really huge. And they already have made things happen that are blowing my mind. And there's a tour that we're this close to getting for the fall that if we get it, it will be the absolute 100% the best possible tour that we could possibly get. Next to like, you know, doing an arena with Korn or something. But for our fans, like I would say them and Linkin Park are the 2 bands that we've been told we sound the most like by fans.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yep, dude. It's crazy how many people from magazines that have written articles about us all the way down to a guy Sunday night coming up us after the show that have said the exact same thing, which is you guys are about to blow up. And you guys are the next Linkin Park specifically. Like, there's no band that's filling that void.
Oh, not at all.
That they left. And everybody from, dude, the tour manager for Drowning Pool told us that. Like,
oh, wow.
I mean, he might have been coked up his mind. I don't know. But he literally was like, you guys are the next Linkin Park. Fucking swear, man. You guys are the next Linkin Park. You know, just like, what? Like, why is everybody saying this? And the next night, the guy comes up to us at the merch table and is like, serious as a heart attack, right? Older guy, 40s, something like that. He's like, hey, can I tell y'all something? We're like, yeah. He's like, I'm serious. You guys are about to blow up and you're going to be the next Linkin Park, so get ready for it. And we're like, oh, that's awesome, man. Thanks, dude. That's crazy. We, you know, that's something somebody said or whatever. And he stopped, like, no laughing. He stops. He goes, no, I'm serious. Like, I'm just telling you, like, I'm not joking about it. I'm telling you what's going to happen. And it was weird because he was so matter of fact about it, and he wasn't like, yeah, dude. So who knows, dude? I don't know, dude.
I think the sound that you guys have is like, just like just everything about the band, and the fact the vocals are like, you know, it's heavy, but you can hear what he's saying. He sings, not like a whole lot of like all like too over, you know, yelling or screaming, but it's like it's heavy enough to where like a Rock 105.3 in San Diego would play it and it would make total sense coming into a Drowning Pool song or something, or like even P.O.D or whatever it may be. But it's also new and different than all of that stuff that I just think,
that's how we feel.
Yeah, I think that it's going to be a huge thing.
Like,
it's cool that Trey said that. It sounds to me like I could see that being a thing for sure.
Yeah, and anybody that says that they don't want that for their band is a liar. Like, I'm not gonna say, I've been really transparent with you this whole time. I'm not gonna start lying now. I'm telling you, man, I'm 45 and I'm ready for it. I thought that I had reached the mountaintop for me. I thought Demon Hunter was it. I was happy with that. I was content. I wasn't looking for this. This thing found me. This thing found me, and it got inside of me, and it has forced me to believe this way. Like, it's not something I'm forcing or something I'm willing to happen. This is something that's basically dragging me along with it. All of us.
Yeah.
Every one of us will tell you that. Trey's never been in another band. Been in P.O.D since 1993, both 30 years, and he's never been in another band. At all, ever, period. When Sonny Sandoval stood in the middle of the crowd at that festival Saturday night and watched World Gone Cold play, he watched his best friend play in another band for the first time since they had been friends.
That's so wild.
Marcos and Sonny both came up to us at the same time on the side stage after we were done, and both of them looked at us and was like, he is better in this band than he is in ours, and that doesn't make sense.
No way.
Like, how in God's name? Like Sonny said, like Marcos is the one that said this part. Marcos even goes, he's like, dude, I don't know if it's you guys or if it's me, but I've always thought Trey's the best bass player I'd ever heard, but like that was another level. And I know him. I play with him every night. And him playing tonight was a whole nother level. Like,
wow, what a compliment. That's huge.
He and I have something. That's something that, like, he and I have got something. We've got something, man. And we didn't realize it was going to happen. But the first time in Knoxville that I kicked a kick drum and he hit a bass guitar note with it, we knew. And we were just like, we kept looking at each other and just like, is this real,
because
man?
if the drums and the bass, if you guys are in sync, it's like a whole nother level for the band. And I remember growing up, kids that had drummer and the bassist, like, oh, there's a band in our town that they were twin brothers, and the drummer played, one of them played drums, the other played bass, and they were like, you know, the best, the best rhythm section for any band.
Yep. And that's, dude, I'm telling you, we have something that's like real special. And I mean, he told me straight up, dude, I'm the first guy he's ever had it with, period. So like,
crazy.
I mean, to think he played with Wub for 20, however many years.
Yeah, forever.
And he's telling me that he feels something he ain't never felt before. And that's no slight on P.O.D. He ain't leaving P.O.D. P.O.D.'s his thing. That's the greatest accomplishment ever. And we would never want him to. They, like, any kid that grew up in our scene, that band is your band. Like, I don't want that band to go away. Like, I want that band to be around forever. I want to go see them play those songs forever.
Right.
I'm currently trying to work my way into being the guy that you would see play for them if you came to see them again.
You should be, man. That'd be awesome.
After Saturday night, I'm praying for it hard, dude. I'll be honest with you. I ain't gonna lie. I'm manifesting it. I told Trey, I was like, dude, you guys don't have a drummer. I know you got this Suicide Silence guy that went on with you on the Ginger tour, and you like that dude, but he was like, bro, nah. Like, it took him a while to like fit into our style. He's like, but bro, he stopped me, dude. We got back to the trailer after P.O.D. played, and it was just me and him, right? Pitch dark outside. We're about to walk in the trailer. He stops me. He goes, Yogi. He's like, I'm kind of blown away right now, dog. And I was like, really? What, like, just about the night? I was like, me too. And he's like, no. I'm talking about what me and you just did, what we just did, what you did with us. He's like, bro, nobody has ever played with P.O.D. From the day I joined the band in 1993, it's like nobody has ever played with us and instantly come in and just, he's like, bro, I'm starting to believe your spirit has been in this band the whole time. And I was like, what did you just say to me? Like, I walked off. I told him, I said, dude, you got to give me a minute. I walked off. And I cried like a friggin' baby standing in the middle of a dirt road at a campground because somebody I look up to and who can now call my brother just told me, like, he reaffirmed, or I don't know, just the affirmation of all these years of hard work as a drummer and just saying yes to everything, no matter how little, how big, what style of music, just yes. Can you come do this? Yes. Can you come do this? Yes. Not asking how much, not asking none of that stuff. Just, can you do it? Yep, I can do it. I'm going to come do it. I want a challenge. I want that challenge. I play country 2 nights a week, every week right now. Like,
do you really?
And I play
That's
songs,
so cool.
dude, and I play songs I've never even heard before. Singer songwriter goes, hey, you know, whatever by Johnny Paycheck from like 82. Nope. Cool. Just, it's like train beat 4/4. You'll get it. It's fine.
Figure
cool.
it out.
Okay, boom. Here we go, boys. And everybody, I'm the youngest guy in the band. Pedal steel player 62, bass player 63. Wow. Singer's a little bit younger than me, actually. I'm not the youngest. Fiddle player's in his 50s. And like our steel player was nominated for a Grammy twice, like as a guitar player, musician. Really great band. But
that's cool.
I do that, but I was also this weekend I played with P.O.D, World Gone Cold, and then Friday night I'll be playing country songs in downtown Spartanburg. You know what I mean? It's like Does anybody else do that? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, sometimes I feel like everybody tries to be the best drummer by showing how much crap they can do, how many times they can hit the drums, how fast they can play double bass. I want to show people the kind of drummer I am based on how many things I can do, like as far as how many different styles I can play and seamlessly fit into. Not like Trey said, P.O.D. is a different beast. Wolf plays different than most drummers. He has one beat that he plays and he slays that beat. And that came straight out of Trey's mouth. He's got one style he plays and he plays it better than anybody. Mm-hmm. But somehow, that's what Trey was saying. He's like, you came in and did your thing. I mean, dude, I was doing triplets and stuff in P.O.D. songs, like feels. I told myself, you're not going in there to be Wolf. You're going to go in there, you know these songs. You're going to stay out of Sonny's way. Let him get everything across he needs to get across to the crowd vocally. But when you get a chance, you be Yogi. When you get a chance to do a feel, when there's a breakdown, when there's things, you be you, bro. Just be you. They're either going to love it or it doesn't really matter because it might be the only time you ever get to play for them. You play those songs the way you've been playing them in your head for 30 years when you're listening to them. Because I've had, as a drummer, you live.
Right, you're always hearing it. Yeah.
Yeah. And I got a chance to do that, dude. And if I never get another chance, that's fine. But
well, I hope you get that spot, man. I'm rooting. That'd be so cool. Because I'm just thinking to myself, like, I remember seeing, because like I said, I grew up in San Diego. I remember seeing like Blink-182 when they were just Blink, and their first drummer Scott Raynor was in the band.
Yep.
And then seeing them with Travis Barker playing those same songs because they hadn't really put out Enema of the State yet, and being like, whoa, these songs it's the same songs, but it's just a whole nother level, and it's just the guy on the drums doing not just the beat over and over and over again.
Exactly.
So I can't wait to hear what because you can just bring a different
I'm crossing my fingers, bro. I don't know. It's touchy too because I don't know how far to like. I mean, Trey is my brother. We spent some time together now, but he's still Trey from P.O.D. And it's not like, it's still like there's still that little bit of a thing where I don't want to push him too hard. Like, I don't want to like mention it too many times or seem too eager. Because, you want to kind of be cool. Like,
play cool a bit. Sure.
There's part of me, there's a thread we have because I found out like a week before we were going to do it that I was going to do it, So there's a thread we have, the four of us, Marco, Sonny, Trey, and me, which I'll never erase from my phone, and it's just talking about, hey, what songs y'all want to do, blah blah blah. This I was talking to my wife this morning. I was like, do you think I should like at some point like this week while the show's still fresh in their mind too and hanging out and all that, should I just hit that thread up and be like, hey, I really enjoyed that, chance of a lifetime, whatever, and then just be like, but you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. So my shot is this, boys. I want to do that again. And I want to do it as many times as you'll let me do it. I know you don't have a guy. And I'm just letting you know that if you guys are even remotely interested in having me back, I want to do it. Like, I don't know if I should do that or just let it kind of organically happen. I just don't know yet. I'm trying to figure out.
I would just do it. Just do it.
Right. I wanted you to say that. Like, I was going to ask you what you thought, but like now that you voluntarily said that, I think I'm just going to do it, man. Like, why not, dude? Fat Yogi Watts from Caroline, North Carolina, watching TRL. Like, shoot the shot, dude. Go for it.
Shoot that shot. I would do it. If I were you, I would just exactly what you just said. Just say, hey, I had a great time playing with you guys. I'd love to do it again.
Yeah,
you miss 100%. Like, that's the perfect way to put it. It's like, kind of making it a little soft and be like, I want to play.
Yeah, like no big deal.
Yeah, but no big deal. But hey, I'm here. I'm waiting. I know you guys are playing some festivals coming up. Who do you got? You know what I mean?
Yep.
You're like,
I know, dude.
I'll be at the, I think they're doing like Rocklahoma and a few other. It's like, hey,
Rocklahoma,
I'll be
Incarceration.
There. Oh yeah, Incarceration, all those ones, man.
And the funny thing about that Incarceration festival they're playing the day before we play World Gone Cold with Trey, in an hour away in Ohio at a festival called Alive Festival. It's like a big Christian festival.
Yeah.
And so I'm already going to be there that weekend anyway, dude. Like,
Yeah,
Might as well not
carpool with
fly some other
Trey.
dude up.
You know what I mean? It all make
Come on,
it,
dog.
it works perfectly.
I know, dude. I think I'm going to, though. I think I might do. I'm going to shoot the shot, dude. I'll let you know what happens.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I want to know what happens. I love it, man.
Yeah.
I have one more question
get
for
back
you.
To this little, I'm gonna get back to my dude here. My phone's going dead too. But will you do me a favor? Will you hit me up on Instagram? Will you slide into my DMs so we have like an actual personal?
Yes, I'll do that right now.
We have like a personal thing because I want you to come to the show.
Oh man, I appreciate it.
Oh, dude, yeah, I want you to come hang out. Come hang out with us. Yeah, I want you to come to the show and hang out. So I'll let you know. Great. Hit me up, message me, and definitely, dude, if you don't care, definitely give that EP to Maddie or mention it to him.
No, I'll send it to him
and let him know that, like,
I'm gonna say, dude, down, you need to check these bands. Yeah, because
sure.
I know they're doing a lot of touring this summer coming up. Or he basically told me they're gonna be home for a chunk of time, and then he's gone. They've got a headliner thing booked, but dude, I'm gonna send it to him and be like, I just heard this, and this is insane, and you know, it's got this is the lineup, and I'll send it to him for sure. I'll do it right after this. But I have one more question. I wonder if I can get you to answer this question real quick before I let you go. I want to know if you have any advice for aspiring artists.
Absolutely. It's funny because honestly, if you'd asked me a few weeks ago that question, somebody did, and I answered it this way, which is I said, if you can imagine yourself doing anything else in life other than playing music and being happy about it, then go do that. Because music, while it's the most fulfilling thing I've ever done, the journey to get to where I'm at right now was so difficult. It was filled with being an adult male sitting in your bedroom alone, crying because you didn't think you were good enough. A lot. It was being stressed about money. It was missing my grandma's funeral, my grandpa's funeral, my cousin's wedding. I mean, it was all of that. Just to get here to be able to have this conversation with you about this cool stuff that's happened, right? I'd go through all of that to get here. So to me, if you're not committed to like music specifically being your life and you're willing to give up whatever you need to give up to chase that, to make sure that you get to fulfill that passion, then go do that other thing. But if you can't, then don't ever stop. Don't let nobody tell you. If you know in your guts that you would be miserable doing anything else, then don't stop. That's my advice right there. If you can see it and you can picture a future without music, then go do whatever that is. If you can't picture a future without music, then you better not ever quit.
I love that.
That's because I didn't quit. And I'm 45 years old. I'll be 46 in September. And I'm in a new band that's fresh sounding and it's new. And I'm getting ready to go on another journey in like the latter stages of my career. What I thought was the latter stages of my career, man, I might just be right in the middle of it right now, to be real honest with you. You know what I mean? So, yeah, man, if you have a passion and you know you've been either called to do this or born to do this, however you want to look at it from a spiritual standpoint or whatever, then you got to just know that like you have to press through every single thing you're going to go through. You're going to want to go home. You're going to want to stop. You're going to want to quit. You're going to get sick and tired of people telling you suck. You're going to get sick and tired of people not coming to your shows. You're going to get sick and tired of people not buying your stuff. You're going to get sick and tired of traveling around and eating pizza and eating gas station food and having diarrhea. And like, you're going to get sick of all that stuff. That's true though, man. Like, I mean, geez, man, I just went out for 4 days this weekend, and not to be gross, but like, it's like there's a lot of things you don't think about that you're going to experience out there sleeping. And, I don't do it now. We get hotels and but I mean, even this weekend, I'm a grown ass man, but because World Gone Cold is not quite where, we want to be. We had 2 rooms and there's 8 of us. So I slept in a bed with Trey for 2 nights in a row, which was awesome. But like he said to me, he hadn't slept in a bed with another man since 1993. So we definitely created some new habits this weekend. But it was also, dude, I wouldn't trade it for anything, man. I hate that I missed a lot of those family things throughout the years, but man, I was where I was supposed to be, man, doing what I was supposed to be doing. So yeah, that's my advice, dude.
Bringing it backward.